待って。バッテリーないやつ、これもしかして。マジかよ。どうしようかな。イヤホンがない。イヤホンがないのか。ヘッドセット使うか。仕方ない。The word ethics has come as a Pacific increasingly, people are using it in reference to the behavior of corporate executives rather than about the behavior of individuals. What has made it so popular is widespread dishonest practice by companies both in Japan and the United States. In America, a sense of crisis is in the air. The capital is not tempered by ethics is doomed. One after another, declarations have been made. The financial settlement by 5 major corporations involved window dressing. What makes it worse is that fraud was committed by the help of county firms. Anxious to reveal to cover the maker, President George W. Bush had declared, "There's no capitalism without conscience." Why did capitalism develop in the United States and Europe? Naturally, while its German sociologist Max Weber related to religion. Simply put, his theory boiled down to honesty is the best marketing policy. The word ethics has gotten across the Pacific. Increasingly, people are using a reference to the behavior of corporate executives rather than about the behavior of individuals. What has made it so popular is widespread dishonest practices by companies both in Japan and the United States. In America, a sense of crisis is in the air. The capitalism not championed for ethics is doomed. One after another, revelation has been made. The financial statement by failed major corporations involved window dressing. What makes it worse is the fraud was committed by failed accounting firms anxious to replicate America. President George W. Bush had declared there is no capitalism without conscience. Why did capitalism develop in the United States and Europe? Naturally, various theories have been advanced about this nation. German sociologist Max Weber linked it to religion. Simply put, his theory boiled down to honesty is the best marketing policy. Essex、倫理、カートン、キャッチャー、流行る、人気が出る。流行る、人気が出る。in reference to 何々を言及する。何々に言及している。何々に言及して関連して in reference to the behavior 何々に言及して使ってる。corporate executives 会社の役員、企業の役員。corporate executives practices 観光a sense of crisis 危機感 and air 広まっている充満しているそういう雰囲気だ and air 広まって漂っている節で tempered 抑制する not tempered by ethics 倫理によって抑制されていないcapitalism 資本主義 is doomed be doomed やがて滅びる be doomed どこだっけ doomed 滅びる運命にある one after another 次々と one after another revelations 新事実暴露真実 revelations financial statement 財務諸表 financial statement 財務諸表 by filed major corporations 腐敗した破綻した大企業 major corporations filed major corporations 破綻した大企業 filed破綻したfiled major corporation window dressing 粉飾決済 window dressing fraud 詐欺的行為 fraud was commit 犯されてきた was committed fraud 詐欺的行為不正手段 was committed 犯されてきた with the help of accounting firms 会計事務所の助けがあって助けを借りて accounting firms 会計事務所conscience 良心 naturally 当然のことながら have been advanced 提示されてきたこれなんか訳しにくい various theories have been advanced about this question この質問に様々な理論がこの質問について、進歩してきた。being advanced 進歩してきた。進歩されて、提示されてきた。進んできた。研究として進んできたってことでいいか。naturally have been advanced 今まで様々な理論が提示されてきた。simply put 簡単に言うなら simply put 簡単に言うなら boiled down to his theory boiled down to つまるところ何々ということである。開示やん。boiled down to his theory boiled down to ちょい。The world ethics has carried on across the Pacific. Increasingly, people are using it in reference to the behavior of corporate executives rather than about the behavior of individuals. What has made it so popular is widespread dishonest practices by companies both in Japan and the United States. In America, a sense of crisis is in the air. The capitalism, not tempered by ethics, is doomed. One after another, revelations have been made. The financial statements by five major corporations involved window dressing. What makes it worse is the fraud was committed with the help of accounting firm. Anxious to reveal corporate America, President George W. Bush had declared, "There is no capitalism without conscience." Why did capitalism develop in the United States and Europe? Naturally, various theories have been advanced about this question. German sociologist Max Weber linked it to religion. Simply put, his theory boiled down to honesty is the best marketing policy. Boiled down to つまるところ The word ethics has caught on across the Pacific. Increasingly, people are using it in reference to the behavior of corporate executives rather than about the behavior of individuals. What has made it so popular is widespread dishonest practices by companies both in Japan and the United States. In America, a sense of crisis is in the air. The capitalism not tempered by ethics is doomed. One after another, revelation has been made. The financial statement by five major corporations involved window dressing. What makes it worse is the fraud was committed with the help of accounting firms. Anxious to rebate corporate America, President George W. Bush had declared, "There is no capitalism without conscience." Why did capitalism develop in the United States and Europe? Naturally, various theories have been advanced about this question. German sociologist Max Weber linked it to religion. Simply put, his theory boiled down to honesty is the best marketing policy. The world of ethics has grown across the Pacific. Increasingly, people are using it in reference to the behavior of corporate executives rather than about the behavior of individuals. What has made it so popular is widespread dishonest practice by companies both in Japan and the United States. In America, a sense of crisis is in the air. The capitalism, not tempered by ethics, is doomed. One after another, revelation has been made. The financial statements by failed major corporations involved window dressing. The next was that fraud was committed with the help of accounting firms. Anxiously revealed corporate America, President George W. Bush had declared, "There is no capitalism without conscience." Why did capitalism develop in the United States and Europe? Naturally, various theories have been advanced about this question. German sociologist Max Weber linked it to religion. Simply put, his theory boils down to honesty is the best marketing policy. The word ethics has come on at the cross we are using in reference to the behavior of corporate executives rather than about the behavior of individuals. What is made so popular is widespread dishonest practices by companies both in Japan the United States. In America, a sense of crisis is in the air. The capitalism not tempered by ethics is doomed. One after another, revelations have been made. The financial statements by five major corporations include Windows. What makes it worse is the fraud was committed with the help of a accounting firm. Next to reveal the corporate America, President George W. Bush had declared, there is no capitalism without conscience. Why did capitalism develop in the United States and Europe? Naturally, various theories have been advanced about this question. German sociologist Max Weber uh, simply put his theory boiled down to honesty is the best marketing policy. Number 9. The word ethics has gotten across first week. Increasingly, people are using it to reference to the behavior of the corporate executives rather than about the behavior of individuals. That has made so popular its widespread dishonest practices by companies both in Japan and the United States. In America, a sense of crisis is in the air. The capitalism, not tempered by ethics, is doomed. One after another, revelation has been made. The financial statement by five major corporations involve window dressing. What makes it worse is the fraud was committed with the help of accounting firms. Actions to rebuild corporate America. President George W. Bush had declared, there is no capitalism without conscience. Why did capitalism develop in the United States and Europe? Naturally, various theories have been advanced about this question. German sociologist Max Weber linked it to religion. Simply put, his theory boiled down to honesty is the best marketing policy. ワーフからのさ、次々とレベレーション have been made. 真実が明らか have been made. 明らかにされてきた have been made that the financial statement by five major corporations. 財務諸表 five major corporations 破綻した大企業によるfinancial statement involved window dressing 含んでいた粉飾決済が含まれていた動詞なんだね involved financial statement by five major corporations involved window dressing 同格なんですわなるほどねAnxious to rebuild corporate America. Anxious to 切望する。be anxious to being が省略されて分子構文。being anxious to rebuild corporate America. corporate America. 企業国家アメリカ。corporate America を再建したいと強く願ってPresident George W. Bush had declared. ブッシュ大統領は宣言しました。There is no capitalism without conscience. 良心なくして、資本主義はないと。Number 9. The word ethics has gone on across last week. Increasingly, people using it in reference to the behavior of public executives rather than about the behavior of individuals. What has made it so popular is widespread dishonest practice by companies both in Japan and the United States. In America, a sense of crisis is in the air. The capitalism not tempered by ethics is doomed. One after another, revelation has been made. The financial statement by five major corporations involved window dressing. What makes it worse is that fraud was committed with the help of a accounting firm. Anxious to reveal corporate America, President George W. Bush had declared, there is no capitalism without conscience. Why did capitalism develop in the United States and Europe? Naturally, various theories have been advanced on about this question. German sociologist Max Weber linked it to religion. Simply put, his theory boiled down to honesty is the best marketing policy. The word ethics has gone across the Pacific. Increasingly, people are using it to reference to the behavior of corporate executives rather than about the behavior of individuals. What has made it so popular is the widespread dishonest practices by companies both in Japan and the United States. In America, a sense of crisis is in the air. With capitalism not tempered by ethics is doomed. One after another, revelations have been made. The financial statements by five major corporations involved window dressing. What made it worse is the fraud was committed with the help of accounting firms. Anxious to reveal corporate America, President George W. Bush had declared, "There is no capitalism with a conscience." Why did the capitalism develop in the United States and Europe? Naturally, various theories have been advanced about this question. German sociologist Max Weber linked it to religion. Simply put, his theory boiled down to honesty is the best marketing policy. 読みやすいな。The word ethics has grown across the Pacific. Increasingly, people are using it in reference to the behavior of corporate executives rather than about the behavior of individuals. What has made it so popular is widespread dishonest practices by companies both in Japan and the United States. In America, a sense of crisis is in the air. The capitalism, not tempered by ethics, is doomed. Almost another revelation has been made. The financial statements by five major corporations involve window-dressing. What makes it worse is the fraud was committed with the help of accounting firms. Anxious to reveal President George W. Bush had declared, "There is no capitalism without conscience." Why did capitalism develop in the United States and Europe? Naturally, various theories have been advanced about this question. German sociologist Max Weber linked it to religion. Simply put, his theory boiled down to honesty is the best marketing policy. The word ethics has gone across the Pacific. Increasingly, people are using it in reference to the behavior of corporate executives rather than about the behavior of individuals. What has made it so popular is the widespread dishonest practices by companies both in Japan and the United States. In America, a sense of crisis is in the air. The capitalism not tempered by ethics is doomed. One after another, revelation has been made. The financial statements by five major corporations involve window dressing. What makes it worse is that fraud was committed with the help of the accounting firm. Anxious to rebuild corporate America, President George W. Bush has declared, "There is no capitalism without conscience." Why don't capitalism develop in the United States and Europe? Naturally, various theories have been advanced about this question. German sociologist Max Weber linked it to religion. Simply put, his theory boiled down to honesty is the best marketing policy. The word ethics has grown across the Pacific. Increasingly, people are using it in reference to the behavior of corporate executives rather than about the behavior of individuals. What has made it so popular is the widespread dishonest practices by companies of working in Japan and the United States. In America, a sense of crisis is in the air. The capitalism is not tempered by ethics, is doomed. One after another, revolution has been made. The financial statement by failed major corporations involve window dressing. What makes it worse is the fraud was committed by the help of accounting firm. Anxious to eventually recuperate America, President George W. Bush has declared, there is no capitalism without conscience. Why didn't capitalism develop in the United States and Europe? Naturally, various theories have been advanced in German sociology Max Weber linked to religion. Simply put, his theory boils down to honesty is the best marketing policy. ガチシャドーイング。むずいな。The word ethics has grown across Pacific. Increasingly, people are using it in reference to the behavior of corporate executives rather than bad behavior of individuals. What has made it so popular is widespread dishonest practices by companies both in Japan and United States. なんつってんだここ Back in Japan. Company Back in Japan か。What has made it so popular is the widespread dishonest practices by companies both in Japan and United States. In America, a sense of crisis is in the air. The capitalism, not tempered by ethics, is doomed. One after another, revelation has been made. The financial statements by failed major corporations involve window dressing. What makes it worse is the fraud was committed to help accounting firm anxiously aware to corporate America. President George W. Bush has declared, there is no capitalism without conscience. Why didn't capitalism develop in the United States and Europe? Naturally, various German sociologist Max Weber linked it to religion. Simply put, his theory, honesty, the best marketing policy. German sociologist Max Weber linked to religion. Simply put, his theory boiled down to simply put, simply put, naturally, 当然のことながら、had been evidence the fraud was committed. Accounting firm anxious to liberate corporate America. President George W. Number 9. The word ethics has gotten across the Pacific. Increasingly, people are using it in reference to behavior of corporate executives rather than behavior individuals. What has made it so popular was widespread dishonest practices by companies both in Japan and the United States. In America, a sense of crisis is in the air. The capitalism, not tempered by ethics, is doomed. One after another, revelation has been made. The financial statement by failed major corporations what makes it worse is the fraud was committed by half of accounting firm. Anxious to avoid the corporate America, President George W. Bush has declared, there is no capitalism without conscience. Why didn't capitalism invade the United States and Europe? Naturally, various theories have been advanced about this question. German sociologist Max Weber linked to religion. Simply put, his theory, uh, his his theory, his theory, his theory, his theory, simply put, his theory boiled down to, honestly, the best marketing policy. His theory, hmm, his theory. The word ethics has grown across the Pacific. Increasingly, people are using the reference to the behavior of corporate executives rather than the behavior of individuals. What has made it so popular is widespread dishonest practices by companies both in Japan and the United States. In America, a sense of crisis is in the air. The capitalism, not tempered by ethics, is doomed. One after another, revelations have been made. The financial statements by major corporations is more interesting. What makes it worse is the fraud was committed with the help of accounting firms. Anxious to appear to corporate America, President George W. Bush had declared, "There is no capitalism without conscience." Why do capitalism develop the United States and Europe? Naturally, various theories have been advanced about this question. German sociologist Max Weber linked it to religion. Simply put, his theory boiled down to honesty is the best marketing policy. Hmm. The word ethics has gotten across the Pacific. Increasingly, people are using the reference to the behavior of corporate executives rather than about the behavior of individuals. The other made it so popular is widespread dishonest practices by companies both in Japan and United States. In America, a sense of crisis is in the air. The capitalism not tempered by ethics is doomed. One after another, revelation has been made. The financial statements by failed major corporations involve window dressing. But makes it worse is the fraud was committed with the help of accounting firms. Anxious to reveal to corporate America, President George W. Bush had declared, "There is no capitalism without conscience." Why did capitalism develop in the United States and Europe? Naturally, various theories have been advanced under discussion. German sociologist Max Weber linked it to religion. Simply put, his theory boiled down to honesty is best marketing policy. Number 9. The word ethics has gotten across the Pacific. Increasingly, people are using it to reference to the behavior of corporate executives rather than about the behavior of individuals. What has made it so popular is widespread dishonest practices by companies both in Japan and the United States. In America, a sense of crisis is in the air. The capitalism, not tempered by ethics, is doomed. One after another, revelation has been made. The financial statements by five major corporations involve window dressing. What makes it worse is that is that is that involve window お前聞いてなかったお前 is doomed. One after another, revelation has been made. The financial statements by failed major corporations involve window dressing. What makes it worse is that the fraud was committed with the help of accounting firms. Anxious to reveal the corporate maker, President George W. Bush had declared, "There is no capitalism without conscience." Why did capitalism develop in the United States and Europe? Naturally, various theories have been advanced about this question. German sociologist Max Weber linked it to religion. Simply put, his theory boiled down to honesty is the best marketing policy. The word ethics has gone across the Pacific. Increasingly, people are using reference to the behavior of the corporate executives rather than by the behavior of the individual. What was made it so popular is widespread dishonest practices by companies both in Japan and the United States. In America, a sense of crisis is in the air. A capitalism not tempered by ethics is doomed. One after another, revelations have been made. The financial statements by five major corporations involve window dressing. What makes it worse is that the fraud was committed with the help of a accounting firm. Actions revealed corporate America. Window dressing. What makes it worse is that the fraud was committed with the help of an accounting firm. Anxious to rebuild corporate America, President George W. Bush had declared, "There is no capitalism without conscience." Why did capitalism develop in the United States and Europe? Naturally, various theories have been advanced about this question. German sociologist Max Weber linked it to religion. Simply put, his theory boiled down to honesty is the best marketing policy. Number 9. The word ethics has come across the Pacific. Increasingly, people using it in reference to the behavior of corporate executives rather than about the behavior of individuals. What has made it so popular is widespread dishonest practices by companies both in Japan and the United States. In America, a sense of crisis is in the air. The capitalism, not tempered by ethics, is doomed. One after another, revelations have been made. The financial statements by five major corporations involve window dressing. What makes it worse is the fraud was committed with the help of a accounting firm. Anxious to rebuild corporate America, President George W. Bush has declared there is no capitalism without conscience. Why did capitalism develop in the United States and Europe? Naturally, various theories have been advanced about the question. German sociologist Max Weber linked it to religion. Simply put, his theory boiled down to honestly is the best marketing policy. The word ethics has gone across the Pacific. Increasingly, people are using it in reference to the behavior of corporate executives rather than about the behavior of individuals. What just made it so popular is widespread dishonest practices by companies both in Japan and the United States. In America, a sense of crisis is in the air. The capitalism not tempered by ethics is doomed. One after another, revelations have been made. The financial statements by five major corporations involve window dressing. What makes it worse is the fraud was committed with the help of accounting firms. Anxious to rebuild corporate America, President George W. Bush had declared, "There is no capitalism without conscience." Why did capitalism develop in the United States and Europe? Naturally, various theories have been advanced about this question. German sociologist Max Weber linked it to religion. Simply put, his theory boiled down to honesty is the best marketing policy. おっとっと。 The word ethics has grown across the Pacific. Increasingly, people are using reference to the behavior of corporate executives rather than about the behavior of individuals. What has made it so popular is the widespread dishonest practices by companies both in Japan and the United States. In America, a sense of crisis is in the air that capitalism, not tempered by ethics, is doomed. One after another, revelation has been made. The financial statements by five major corporations involve investing. What makes it worse is that the fraud was committed with the help of accounting firm, anxious to reveal the corporate maker. President George W. Bush have declared there is no capitalism without conscience. Why did capitalism develop in the United States and Europe? Naturally, various theories have been advanced of this question. German sociologist Max Weber linked it to religion. Simply put, his theory boiled down to honesty is the best marketing policy. The word ethic has come across the Pacific. Increasingly, people are using it in reference to the behavior of corporate executives rather than about the behavior of individuals. What has made it so popular is the widespread dishonest practices by companies both in Japan and the United States. In America, a sense of crisis is in the air. The capitalism, not tempered by ethics, is doomed. One after another, revelation has been made. The financial statement by five major corporations involve window dressing. What makes it worse is that the fraud was committed with the help of accounting firm. Anxious to reveal the corporate America, President George W. Bush had declared, there is no capitalism without conscience. Why did capitalism develop in the United States and Europe? Naturally, various theories have been advanced about this question. German sociologist Max Weber linked it to religion. Simply put, his theory boiled down to honesty is the best marketing policy. The word ethics has grown across the Pacific. Increasingly, people are using it in reference to the behavior of corporate executives rather than about the behavior of individuals. What has made it so popular is widespread dishonest practices by companies both in Japan and the United States. In America, a sense of crisis in losing year. Capitalism, not tempered by ethics, is doomed. One after another, revelation has been made. The financial statement by five major corporations involved window dressing. What makes it worse is the fraud was committed with the help of accounting firm. Anxious to build corporate America, President George W. Bush has declared, there is no capitalism without conscience. Why did capitalism develop in the United States and Europe? Naturally, various theories have been advanced about this question. German sociologist Max Weber linked it to religion. Simply put, his theory boiled down to honesty is the best marketing policy. Number 9. The word ethics has gotten across the Pacific. Increasingly, people are using okay, the capitalism, not tempered by ethics, is doomed. One after another, revelation has been made. The financial statement by five major corporations gained dressing. What makes it worse is that the fraud was committed with the help of accounting firms. Anxious to reveal the corporate maker, President George W. Bush declared, "There is no capitalism without conscience." Why do capitalism develop in the United States and Europe? Naturally, various theories have been advanced about this question. German sociologist Max Weber linked to religion. Simply put, his theory is really boiled down to honesty is the best marketing policy. The word ethics has come across the aspect. Increasingly, people are using it to define the behavior of corporate executives rather than about the behavior of individuals. What has made it so popular is the widespread dishonest practices by companies both in Japan and the United States. In America, the sense of justice is in year. The capitalism not tempered by ethics is due. One after another, revelation has been made. The financial settlements failed. What makes it worse is that fraud was committed with the help of a accounting firm. Anxious to repair corporate America, President George W. Bush had declared, "There is no capitalism without conscience." Why did capitalism develop in the United States and Europe? Naturally, various theories have been advanced about this question. German sociologist Max Weber linked it to religion. Simply put, his theory boiled down to honesty is the best marketing policy. あ、ちょい。Ethics というのに catch on 流行る、流行する、人気が出る。In reference to 何に言及して、corporate executives 企業の役員 practices 観光練習 a sense of crisis 危機感 anywhere 広まっている漂っている流布してtemper 抑制するあとは緩和する抑制する緩和する抑制する逆のやん抑制するここでは抑制する is to やがて何々という運命をたどる運命にある one after another 次々と one after another revelation 暴露真実 financial statement 財務諸表 by five major corporations 破綻した five major corporations 大企業ウィンドドレッシングウィンドドレッシングはね、ドレッシングだから、ドレス、粉飾決済、ウィンドドレッシング、フラウド、詐欺的行為、was committed、犯されていて、was committed with the help of accounting firm、会計事務所、accounting firm、accounting firm、事務所、会社。忘れんだよな、これ。会社、accounting firm、会計、accounting firm、会計。fight of capitalism developed in United States and Europe. Naturally, 当然のことながら、naturally has been advanced, simply put, 簡単に言うと、simply put, boiled down to, あれだ。つまるところ、利根川、 boil down to, his theory boil down to つまるところないないというところであると。